This is why no one uses your reporting. I'm sorry, the majority of organizations don't use reporting to actually take action. Most of the time, it's just to cover your butt. That's okay, but let's talk through how we can make our reporting the cocaine of the company, where everyone wants a hit of it and everyone wants their reports in your system. Hey, my name is JJ Reynolds. I'm the founder over at visionlabs.com. If you have any questions about your reporting, leave them down below or fill out an application to work with us and our team, and we'll guide you through both the data collection through to visualization and how you can action your reporting. The core concept we want to talk about is how do you decide what to do? Reporting serves the function of driving action. There are three levels of reporting. I've talked about this before. There is the administrative reporting, there is the director level reporting, and there is the practitioner level reporting. So first of all, you have to decide which of those three you are actually doing. The second piece is to decide what questions you are trying to answer. Questions are the simplest and easiest way to build out reporting. You say, hey, what's the question? And then what's the action? Simplest. The way that you can do that from a more organizational perspective is that we can use the QIA framework. Kia for short. This was not coined by myself. My friend Mercer is the person who built this and created the idea of the QIA framework. But I'm going to take it and you can go check him out, Mercer. Chris Mercer is his full name. Otherwise, let's talk through it. So QIA, question is the first thing. What is the question that you are asking? Then we have I for information. What information do you need to answer that question? And then A is action. What will you do with that information that you've derived from your question? Okay, that is it. And you will find the majority of people ask really dumb questions. Okay, so the goal is that you have better and better questions within your organization, and the A of the action makes people realize that. So if you're saying, hey, how many people click on the footer links? And you're like, oh, great question. How do we know that? The information is found in our Google Analytics because we set it up so well in our 360 account that we have the actual information of who's clicking on our footer in this report that I made. Ta-da! 7% of people are clicking on the links in the footer. There's the information. Question, information. Now action. What do you do? Right? What if it's 7%? Oh my goodness, what should we do? I don't know. Do we add more footers? We need more footers, folks, more footers. Or do we remove the footer because everyone's using the footer? They're supposed to be using the navigation, right? That'd be an example of a bad question. So don't get your pitchfork out and start running towards the person who asked the question and saying, hey, we need more footers, more footers, more footers. That's what the data is telling us. But it could just be another symptom of saying, hey, maybe we just add all the links on our site to the footer just to keep it simple. Or we could remove the footer and drive to other places. You get the idea. That's the footer example. Your intentions need to tie to your outcomes. That is what the idea of marketing is. So the way that I like to think of this is a Venn diagram that you can build out for your reporting. And what are you trying to do is one circle. That's the intentionality. Then you have the outcome. That's the other circle. What is actually happening? Your insights and marketing action is in the overlap, in the epicenter of the Venn diagram. So if you have really good intentions, say, hey, we're going to drive 1,000 people to this landing page. We're then going to have 500 of them view the video, 200 of them complete the video, 100 of them submit the application, 50 of them get on a call, 10 of them actually buy, and one of them ascends to become a amazing customer worth way outside of the normal LTV. That is the intention, right? Most people don't get that specific, but you can. Then you have the outcome. How many people actually did that? And wherever you see the percentage fall off of that beautiful diagram, that beautiful funnel that you made is where you can act. You can say, oh my goodness, no one's watching the video. Well, do we have an engaging enough video? Or do we need to then say, hey, maybe we can do this a different way. So your intentionality of saying, write down what we're trying to do, and then the outcome, derive insights that you can then act on, taking us back into our question, information, action framework. So those two things allow us as the strategist of the reporting to say, we now know the answers to your questions and you can action them again and again and again. Let me now show you an example of what that looks like for us over at Vision Labs. Caveats here. First, we are a small site. We are an agency website. We don't get a lot of traffic because people like yourselves are the ones who are buying and submitting contact forms to talk with me so that our team can then work with you to do all of this. So low traffic. The second is we are lead gen. We don't sell anything on the website. There's nothing to buy. With one example, I'll show you that in a second. So we are lead generation. The third is this is the creme de la creme. This is the best. So don't feel bad if your reporting doesn't look like this. Talk with us. Our clients can vouch for us, but make sure that you understand those three things. Okay, let's now talk through this. What question is this answering? I am the founder and CEO here at Vision Labs. I want to know how many sessions are we driving? And then I want to know, are those sessions driving lead impressions? If so, which types? And then are those actually generating leads and what's the conversion rate thereof? Boom, I've got it right here at the top. That's the answer. The second question I have, these are what we call our buy questions in our data order of operations framework. The buy questions are what we break this down by. So the first thing is we have 743 lead impressions. What are people seeing? Right? So here we can see, oh, wow, we had the data order of operations, which you should go download at visionlabs.com/DOO. You should go download that with your team and go through it. We then have the idea of a Looker Studio cheat sheet that is being driven here. And you can see here, wow, much better conversion rate. We then have our contact form. So people like yourselves go into our website, 3.6%. Not bad if I don't say so myself. We then have our real-time report, which is amazing. You should go download that. You get the idea. We have a lot of reporting here. So I've taken this one metric of lead impressions and broken it down by every single lead magnet that we have, as well as every single way people can become a lead. Obviously, some of these are weighted differently, right? Someone filling a contact form is much more higher intent than someone downloading the data order of operations. But the idea still holds true. Okay, hopefully you're with me right now. If you're not, I'm sorry. So we have our question is which leads are driving the most highest conversion rate or driving the most volume of leads. We can see here, this is the highest conversion rate and the highest volume of leads right there. The next question someone might ask is what traffic sources are driving those leads? Great question. So glad you asked. We can come right down here and say, okay, the session source is Google. Let's see what Google is driving. It drove 2,400 sessions. And how are we doing overall? So let me come and see. Okay, so we are down 13% from the previous 30 days, but we are up 15% from the previous year. Google also is driving 55% more lead impressions and 12% more from the 30 days. And also we have our leads generated, which is up 15% from the 30 days and up 52% from the previous year. Conversion rate is down a little bit, but let's see what happens there. We can then see exactly what's driving. So the data order of operations, remember, was number one as far as impressions. Only 15 people have seen it from the organic side of things. But if they did see it, we then had 40% of them download. So like an idea here might be that let's just swap out those CTAs for this to this and say, hey, does that work? That could be an insight. The same is true for looking at LinkedIn. Let me show you this. I just know this is an example. LinkedIn is mostly the data order of operations. The reason being is that it's mostly the larger companies that need to use the data order of operations. Unfortunately, it's only a 13% conversion rate. So we can say, hey, the action here is we go in and we say, let's go improve this. The last thing is YouTube. Let me just show you YouTube, for example, because if you're watching this on YouTube, there you are. Here are where all of the different people come from. Here's where people are then being generated, and then we go from there. What most people then ask is how are we trending over time? And we have that right down here. So if you click on something like YouTube, you can see, oh, hey, yesterday we had a pretty good day. Can't complain. We had 10 people. We can then select that day right here. And now we're looking at just that day, just YouTube. And we can see that most people are coming in. We had one LLM dashboard download. We had a couple of people see everything, a lot of looky-loos out there, and you start downloading. But you can see at the top, that is what we're looking at. Okay. Hopefully you're with me and you are starting to see the idea of layering in your intentionality. What are you trying to do? And then the outcome of what is actually happening and the ability to frame a question with the information that you have to the action that can be taken. Let me hit reset on this bad boy and we will go off to the races. The second example I want to use is our offer called the Lab. For everyone who's not familiar, the lab is a super simple training platform that's meant for contractors, consultants, and agencies to learn how to do what we're talking about here. This is the number of people who saw that we even have the lab, the people who then begin checkout, and the number of lab trials that are started. And you can see here we have a 2.2% impression to purchase there. So you can see the question I've asked, how many people are seeing this? Like if you'd only had 3 sales and we were expecting 50, well, we would need a 50% conversion rate from this to this. So I can easily see here, whoa, guys, we now have to have a better way of doing this. We need to understand how we are driving impressions as well as conversions. All right, the same holds true. Now, this is where things get a little bit spicy, right? Most people don't do this. I'm just going to be frank. This is what we call the foresight system. I know, foresight, fireworks. Pew, 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 pew. The foresight system is where we take every single thing on your site and we say, this is what an impression is. They loaded the page. They then spent 10 seconds on the page. Now we know that they're aware. We have a target of what the intentionality is. And then we have the people who have engaged. Again, intentionality. We're trying to spend them 20 seconds on the page, 50% scroll. We then have the idea of investigating the offer. So you're seeing the offer, you're seeing the pricing for at least 5 seconds, and then people clicking through to begin checkout. This is our funnel on a single page. We call it the foresight system because it allows us to have foresight into what will happen if we change something. So intentionality and outcome. So now just imagine, take this to your organization and say, oh my goodness, imagine if we had this and everyone could point at this thing together and say, I'm going to go and change this to try and influence this outcome. We don't have a lot of traffic, right? We have 100 sessions in the last 30 days. We can look at this over a bigger time range and we can see more, but you'll see that the patterns hold true. We don't change this offer a lot. We don't really do anything with it. Let's see how far back. I don't remember when this was set up exactly for the sake of this. But here you can see 80%, 35%, 17%, 6%. It is almost exactly the same. The trend holds true throughout pretty much as long as you can see here. Now, I know, because I'm the one in charge of this, I know we have not adjusted this page. If it was something that we were trying to focus on, we're trying to grow this program, what we would do is we'd try to push this up and say, okay, how do we make sure people stick on the page? How do we get people to engage with this offer? Because no one's sticking around for 20 seconds and no one's scrolling 50% down the page. How do we get that up? And now we can ideate, create more ideas about how to do this, right? That's the idea. The last thing I want to show you is the catch-all, right? So we have our questions, we have our intentions, we have our outcomes. At the end of the day, you want to say, hey, what's happening on this page? So let's go to a random blog. Here's a blog about regex. If you don't know about regex, go and learn about it. Not doing too hot compared to the previous period, but we'll be okay. Here you can see exactly how people are scrolling down the page, what they're clicking on, and the breakdown of everything else. This serves as a catch-all, meaning if we did not do a foresight system or we do not have an intentionality, you can come in here and try to derive insights and say, hey, how do we do this? How do we take this information and then act upon it? All right. We could then say, what are people clicking on? Okay. People click on regex contains, regex match, regex extract, blah, blah, blah. You can see here every single thing someone clicks on. A big thing is our GA360 calculator. This is something that we're trying to get more and more people to use because most people don't understand how GA360 works. And so you can see here exactly what's happening, where people are clicking, what people are clicking on, where they are going. And this allows your intentions to be more open when you're in the data collection phase, but allows you to then dive deeper into your data. So I hope that this got you to a better idea of framing your questions, framing your intentions, and framing your insights in a way that you can act. Otherwise, everything is useless. A number of 5,847 is not helpful. Knowing that that's how many sales you had yesterday is helpful. Knowing that you had a 30% conversion rate for that thing from a specific traffic source is even more helpful. So hopefully this has helped you get to a better space as far as understanding why your reports are not going viral internally and what you can do about it.